Welcome to today's new family orientation session. Before we begin, we have a few important housekeeping notes to cover.
La traducción al español para esta sesión es proporcionada por Wordly, una herramienta de traducción en tiempo real. Para acceder a este contenido en español, haga clic en el icono del globo en la barra de herramientas del lado derecho de la pantalla y seleccione Español en la lista de opciones de traducción.
Today's session is being recorded. Recordings will be available approximately 3 hours after the session ends. You can find session recordings in your session schedule or in the on-demand page of the Hub. To ask questions during this session, click on the Q&A button in the panel to the right of your screen. We'll answer as many questions as we can, either during the session or at the end. You can submit questions anonymously. Please don't share any personal information in questions, as questions will be visible to all guests. If you see a question in the Q&A panel that you want to see answered, upvote it to let our team know. Lastly, we ask that you please join us in upholding and promoting UC San Diego's principles of community, and in keeping our community free from any and all forms of discrimination and harassment. Now let's get started with today's new family orientation session.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dr. Tiffany O'Mara. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the Director of Outreach Services and also a psychologist at Counseling and Psychological Services, also known as CAPS. I have been working here. I'm starting my 24th year working here. Some of the things that I enjoy doing here, I love presenting and doing workshops on topics like managing stress and increasing well-being. And I also really enjoy running therapy groups. I run groups for taming anxiety and building social confidence for students with social anxiety. And I'm so pleased to be here today with one of my colleagues, Dr. Erin Bartelma.
Thank you, Dr. O'Mara. And my name is Dr. Erin Kelly Bartelma, and I am also a clinical psychologist here at CAPS and the Assistant Director of Outreach. So it is my pleasure to get to work with Tiffany and colleagues throughout the year on outreach and many of the things that we're going to be talking about today. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and also just a little bit more background. I am going into my 10th year here at UC San Diego, and I'm not only a psychologist, but also a parent. So this is one of my favorite presentations to do in welcoming you all and really talking together about how we can support your student in their journey. I have a background in sport and performance psychology and exercise sciences. And so some of the programming that we'll be talking about today is supporting your students in achieving and in their goals and in their dreams, and also in really a holistic way of taking care of their mind, their body, and their heart. So excited to be here today, and I'll pass it back to you, Tiffany.
Erin, thank you so much for sharing that you've got kids and all of your areas of interest. I don't know if any of you saw the Holding On While Letting Go presentation. I was there for that. So hello again, if you were there. I will also share that I have a son who is starting his sophomore year in college, and my daughter will be starting her junior year in college. So we've been starting our campus tours and going through that process. So I also really enjoy presenting to parents and families and really looking forward to having conversations with you today. All right. So next slide, please. All right, so a little bit about what to expect for today. We're going to be talking a little bit about our department and where our department is housed on campus, and also a little bit about what are reasons why students come in to see us. To give you an idea of some of our services, both our clinical services as well as our preventative resources, such as our skill building workshops and our support spaces, and also some of our really cool tech offerings that we offer for students. And then finally, we'll have a chance to tell you a little bit about how a student would make an appointment, how they would get connected to CAPS. And then at the end, we'll save some time for some questions to talk with you all. All right, next slide. So CAPS is part of a larger cluster called Student Health and Wellbeing. So you can see there on the screen all the different departments that Student Health Wellbeing, or SHW, are made up of. So it includes departments such as Student Health Services, CAPS, and Health Promotion Services. So it's really a one-stop shop where students can get support for both their physical and mental health needs. Next slide. So today, Erin and I come from CAPS, so we're going to be telling you a little bit more about CAPS. We provide lots of different services for students that are all free for UC San Diego students. Well, they're free because they've already paid for them through their student services fees. And so we're going to go into more detail about that. But I do want to tell you that our team is made up of licensed clinical social workers, licensed marriage and family therapists, licensed professional clinical counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and postdoctoral residents. And our staff are culturally diverse with a wide range of identities and also have a lot of diversity in their areas of specialty and interest. So check out our website, check out our staff page, and you can get a good idea of, all of the different specialties and identities that we have on our staff. All right, next slide, please. So students come in to see us for a variety of reasons. And here on the slide are a few examples of why students seek CAPS services. So you'll see there that there's really lots of different reasons why students come in, experiencing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and also coming in for roommate conflicts or being homesick. So there's lots of different reasons. I think that some of the top reasons why students come in are anxiety, stress, academic challenges, difficulties with their mood, relationship concerns, but there's lots of reasons, like you can see, that we will see students at counseling and psychological services. I mentioned that I had done the Holding On While Letting Go presentation, and that is still available to view if you didn't get a chance to join me live for that. But in that presentation, we talked about, how difficult that it is to have raised a child and had them at home with you, and then to have to say goodbye as they go off to college, and they are now reaching a new developmental stage where they're gaining lots of independence. And that means that sometimes they won't come to you for all the problems that they're experiencing. And when we're far away, we can't always give support in the same way that we would when we're with them at home. And so sometimes it's the parent or family member who plays a key role in referring students to CAPS. Sometimes students might not think of coming in for counseling. Maybe they've never been to counseling themselves. Maybe they don't know anyone who's been to counseling. Maybe they're worried about what a parent or family member might think if they were to go to counseling. And so sometimes it can really be helpful for the parent to suggest it, or for the parent to say, I wish I was closer. I wish I could provide more support. There is support that's offered on campus. I wonder if you would consider going to counseling and psychological services. I attended this presentation. We met some of the counselors. They seemed really warm and friendly. And, I think that it could be something that you might find helpful. Just making that suggestion to them. Sometimes they will take you up on it, and sometimes they won't be ready yet. But it just can be important to plant those seeds, to make that suggestion. And then sometimes they hear, maybe a friend that has gone to CAPS, or they get thinking about it a little bit more, and then they might be willing to go and talk to somebody. So that's why we like to let parents and families know about our services, because sometimes you're playing that key role to help make that referral. And just want to emphasize that no problem is too big or too small. that students absolutely can come in and schedule an appointment to meet with us. All right, next slide. Right, so going over some of our clinical services. So we offer both in-person as well as virtual telehealth appointments. Our clinical services include individual counseling, in which students meet one-on-one with a counselor. We provide brief individual counseling with a limited number of sessions based on the student's clinical need. And we find that many students find about 3 to 6 sessions very helpful and are able to make good progress during this time. If counseling beyond the brief model is recommended, then we'll discuss that with the student and we'll help them to use whatever is their insurance to help make a referral off campus. Another service that we offer is group counseling. And we find that some problems are better addressed together in a group. So we have several groups in which students get the opportunity to meet weekly with a CAPS staff. And they also are able to get support from other students who share similar experiences. I run groups regularly, and I find that sometimes students are hesitant to go to a group. Do I want to talk and share with other people? But I find that once they come there, they're so relieved to hear that other students are sharing similar concerns. And just that in itself can be really helpful for students. So examples of some of our groups include groups on how to build social confidence, improve relationships, and manage anxiety. And some students will also be referred for medication. So we have psychiatrists on staff who are able to do evaluations and follow students and see them for medication management. We're also constantly expanding our services. So just in this last year, we've started to offer testing services that can help determine a diagnosis, as well as services for students with more severe mental health needs. So we have a new program called the Triton Lighthouse Immersive Care Program. And this program is designed to help students who are experiencing a crisis so that they can receive help before the concern escalates and becomes an emergency. Students who are in the Lighthouse program receive an individualized plan that includes individual counseling, skill-based workshops, weekly community activities, and free digital resources like the popular mindfulness app Headspace. As I mentioned before, all of our services are free for undergraduate, graduate, and professional students who've paid their student registration fees. Their student services fees. And so this means that they don't pay for any appointments at CAPS. CAPS services are also confidential. And so this means that CAPS doesn't share information with parents and families about the treatment of that student without their written permission. We also offer CAPS services in various languages in addition to English, including Hebrew, Mandarin, Spanish, and Taiwanese. All right, next slide. And if students are experiencing an urgent need or crisis and need to consult with a mental health provider immediately, or if they're having urgent concerns about a friend, they can call CAPS to speak to a counselor over the phone. And this is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and this includes evenings, weekends, and holidays. And we're also available to consult with parents and family members. If you have a concern for your student, we can speak with you and help get you and your student connected to helpful resources. So that's also available to parents and family members. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Tiffany. In addition to our crisis services, we also have an amazing team that's called Triton Core. It's our Triton Compassionate Response Team. And this is a mobile response team that provides compassionate in-person support to students who are experiencing behavioral health crises. The unique piece about this is the team is not only made up of licensed behavioral health professionals who are able to perform wellness checks, but they have the training and really that compassion piece to be able to meet students where they're at and have a way to come at that with trauma-informed care. They address each student's mental health concerns and also factor in academic, cultural, and case management needs. And we know from experience of these being our colleagues that when they are meeting with students, student staff, our staff and colleagues across campus, that they're really there providing a safe and supportive space for students to have that support. The team also includes multilingual and multicultural clinicians to represent and support the diverse identities of our student body. And anyone on campus can request a Triton Core response for a student in distress. So the information is here of how to access Triton Core if that were to come up, and calling our UC San Diego Police Dispatch. And this team is award-winning, and they are continuing to expand both in operating hours and what they can provide both our students and our community. So we're so proud of Triton Core.
And Erin, don't you think, I mean, this team, it says compassionate response. They truly are such a wonderful team of warm, compassionate providers, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think each one of them, if you were to meet them, you know, it's just kind of, they radiate some of that like warmth and kindness, and just that they are that compassion and heart. So, yeah.
Oh, in fact, I see that in tomorrow's webinar, is about Triton Core. So if you want to learn more about Triton Core, yes.
Wonderful. And we'll move on to the next slide. So far we have talked about our clinical and counseling services. However, in addition to that, to all of these services, CAPS also provides preventative programming. These include skill building workshops and community connection spaces. These programs are open to all registered UC San Diego students and are free throughout the quarter. And these are really focused on what this slide says. So creating community practices that offer our students experiences of healing, joy, restoration, inspiration, and really that sense of belonging that we all hope that they find and create in their journey. Because this isn't just about their classes. This is about that whole experience and all the learning that happens outside of the classroom too. So next slide. This preventative programming is really supported by our Tritons Flourish initiative, which is an interdisciplinary, departmental, holistic effort to provide students support and resources to grow, discover, and flourish here at UC San Diego. We are very proud of this programming as well, and this slide just shows a few of our almost postcards from some of our larger events that we have hosted throughout the year. These are events that focus on movement-based healing, art activities that bring in learning, and also just a place for students, again, to connect while learning tools that they can then take with them. Much of this programming comes from research and science in positive and performance psychology to, again, help students in their overall well-being. And you can find more information as well as a calendar of events. We don't have as many events and programming and workshops in the summertime, but that calendar will be booming with artwork come the fall. And if you use the QR code here or the website, you can find more about the initiative, and again, also the calendar of resources and also things that students can get involved in. And so another just great place to kind of have bookmarked to be able, sometimes we're that map for students and helping them get to a place that they might be interested in or might be helpful to them. So a great point on the UC San Diego map. And then in this next slide, as part of the Tritons Flourish initiative, we have our RISE workshops. And these workshops that are featured here, what we did when Tiffany was talking about the top reasons that students come into CAPS, we looked at that years back and said, why and what are students coming in for? And how can we create programming that is both available and accessible to students, that they can come, and maybe that's being able to drop in. Maybe they're connected to CAPS already, or they're just curious, or they're wanting to learn something specific. And we took those top presenting reasons and built workshops around those. And so Monday through Friday, we have these free drop-in workshops that students can come, and they can come to one every week. They could come to 5 in a week. They're there for students to experience and learn from. And this runs from everything from our sunrise session. That's one that I co-facilitate, and that's actually co-facilitated with a trauma-informed yoga teacher in recreation. We have themes that are based on values and identity exploration, and match that with movement. So our students are not only learning through kind of their mind, but practicing some of that, such as focus and managing strong emotions in yoga and in their body. So, and we have also a very popular one, Stress Better, which is skills for managing stress and helping students to be able to learn a different tool or technique every week. And again, there's no wait for these, and our workshops are offered daily. So we hope that students will check out some of these. And then on our next slide, and this just kind of highlights some of the programming that is through the Tritons Flourish initiative and our RISE workshops, and just some of the themes that we really try to both teach as well as help to experience. Everything from awe that can help with mood and motivation, to tapping into creativity, to grit, to goal setting. Again, things that can help both in the classroom and outside of. And this picture here shows some of the what we call micro adventures that are through some of our programming. Our partnership with Outback Adventures, that you see some of that programming has paddleboard yoga, hiking, and even on our ropes course, a leap of faith. We've received incredible feedback from our students on what they've taken away from these experiences as well. So just some of those micro adventures that, again, are available to our students at no cost. And then on the next slide, we additionally have our CAPS Community Connections, and these offer support spaces where we can focus on building connections, sharing and exchanging ideas, and learning from each other. Again, these programs are open to all students. Many of our community connections do have a focus, and so we encourage students to look and say, is there something that really speaks to me? Is there something that, again, I want to try out a space to be able to either meet people or learn things about or explore things for myself? And so you can see this is a list of some of the community connections offerings that we have on a regular basis. And they can also all be found on our CAPS calendar. And then in the next slide, this is kind of our bonus. Many of our programs that you just saw that were highlighted, if students attend, they can actually get co-curricular credit for taking care of their well-being. We have a co-curricular well-being certificate that students can receive by attending workshops and completing reflections. And again, the qualitative responses and the stories that we've heard from students as they've put this into their calendar, met people through this, have been so powerful to hear what they kind of have taken away from this, and really how that has built them up, whether that be, again, being able to manage test anxiety, or thinking about next steps and their career and their hopes, and that connection and belonging piece too. So sometimes just helping students get in the door of, hey, you can get credit for taking care of your well-being is just the nudge they might need. So here the QR code gives some more information on that as well. And I will pass the next slide on to you, Tiffany.
Thank you, Erin. So CAPS also offers a program called Let's Talk, So this program is open to all students and is also available Monday through Friday. And this is a great way that students can get a 20 to 30-minute individual meeting with one of our counselors with little to no wait. And so you might think about Let's Talk as like visiting one-on-one with a CAPS staff person for a brief one-time consultation about any questions that they might have related to their well-being. So it's not necessarily a counseling appointment, but it's more of an informal way to consult with a counselor about a variety of topics. So they might talk about stress, sleep difficulties, motivation, career concerns, relationship issues, test anxiety, any kind of topic in which the therapist might be able to provide some practical strategies, information, and support for them. This is also a great way if a student isn't sure about counseling, not sure if they're ready to go to counseling yet or not sure what it's about, they can go to one of our Let's Talk sessions, and it might be kind of an easy way to get in the door to just even ask questions. What is counseling about? Do you think that this could be something that could be helpful for me? So it's just a great way to be able to have access to one of our mental health therapists. And so, again, they can ask them any questions about resources, their well-being, and how to get connected to CAPS. And so students would go to the website there, and on that website, it talks about how to make an appointment for a Let's Talk session. Next slide. We also have a collection of online self-improvement programs that we call iFlourish. And all of our iFlourish tech offerings are free, anonymous, and available to all UC San Diego students. And each of our programs provides a little bit something different. We have assessments for them to take, free behavioral assessments. We also have different iRelax in a variety of languages that they can download. And one of our favorite offerings that we have is Headspace. So Headspace is a popular mindfulness app that will teach students how to meditate. So it starts, if you're a beginner, that's okay. It teaches students about meditation and how to meditate. And CAPS has paid for this so that students can get this, and they get the most upgraded Headspace Plus version. And so again, that's no cost for them. And, the students use this for a variety of reasons. One of the top reasons that it's used is to help with sleep, to help them fall asleep or help them get back to sleep. It's also used a lot to help them with focus and concentration. It has not just meditations, but it also has steady beats, to play in the background. It has, all different colors of noise. They have white noise and brown noise and pink noise and orange noise. They have just noise that's kind of this background noise that can help students to focus and concentrate. And so it's a really wonderful app. It has so many resources. It even has an AI feature where students can go to it and ask it questions, and it responds similar to like a chat GPT. So it really is a wonderful, wonderful resource. And the other thing that's great about it this year is that students can also gift a Headspace app to up to 5 friends or family members, and they don't have to be UCSD students. So if you have an interest in a Headspace app membership, then encourage your student to go to this website. That's one thing. You don't want to sign up for it through your app store on your phone. Instead, you want to go to this iFlourish website, and that will give specific instructions on how they can sign up and also how they can gift a membership to up to 5 people. So I have some students that will gift it to a younger sibling, for example. One thing I will say is that if you are an incoming student, so if a student is incoming, it takes a little bit of time for them to get into the system. So I would say for incoming students to check back around week 3. If they're not able to access it yet, they would want to check back around week 3 of the quarter to be able to sign up. All right. And next slide. So Willow is another app that is free for UC San Diego students. And this is a really wonderful app that provides like this one-stop experience for students to be able to find out what's going on campus, to help with their mental health needs. And so these are resources such as CAPS, health promotion services, recreation. It has all different things going on around camp for student well-being. And it has information about student orgs, different resources on campus. And so it's a wonderful way to have that information at their fingertips. It will share information about what's going on. So it's connected to our CAPS calendar. And so the app will be able to find out about students and their interests and their needs, and it will be able to send them recommendations on what's going on campus. So really want to encourage you to ask your student to download the Willow app. If you go to your app store and you search for Willow UC San Diego, they will be able to find that app and download it. So lots of really wonderful information on that Willow app. All right, and then Erin is going to talk about how to get started with CAPS. Next slide.
Thank you again, Tiffany. So this slide here, this is one of those that I say, if you want to take a screenshot or a picture, this is a really good one to have because it kind of puts it all together and is really, we've kind of talked a little bit, Tiffany mentioned about planting seeds and that we have a flourishing garden of resources available for students. However, sometimes it's like, which one, where to start? And so this slide is that kind of, we'll move from garden and seeds to let me take that first step. Let me get to the garden. So this is just kind of thinking about, all right, when I'm taking that first step or encouraging my student to take that step, this is where to start. So students can call the number that is here. This is to our CAPS Central office who takes in all the calls and then helps them get to the right place. Parents and family members can also call this number to be able to consult and talk to somebody. So I'll focus kind of on the student piece, which is they can call this number, or they can also go to mystudentchart.ucsd.edu. We kind of have both of those options because we in creating that initial step and a brief phone screening to help assess needs, because we know that some students prefer to call and some students that might be intimidating, and they prefer to kind of take that first step by scheduling through mystudentchart.ucsd.edu. And by what happens is when students call for that initial appointment, they will be scheduled with a brief telephone screening. So, and that is a 15 to 20 minute phone assessment where a CAPS counselor will confidentially assess a student's needs and really help them, back to that mapping, help them find the right resources for their concerns. And in that call is really kind of taking in kind of that summary, what is happening here, and how can I get the student to the next best step as quickly as possible. There are various treatment recommendations that can be made in that brief telephone assessment. So some students may be referred to meet with an individual counselor. For others, as Tiffany was mentioning, group counseling might be that recommendation, such as building social competence, where we really feel like that is going to be so supportive and helpful. Or we may say, starting with this workshop that's today at 3 p.m. if you could make it there, or if not, here's one tomorrow. Or a community connection space to say you might really find like-minded people who are going to be there to support you as well. So really thinking about what that individualized and best fit is for each student is in that phone call. And we can combine recommendations as well. As Tiffany had also mentioned, we have a brief therapy model, and so because individual counseling with CAPS is focused on specific goals and is not ongoing or long-term, students sometimes might kind of right away say, I want to find a counselor who's going to be a good match for me for, again, my whole journey here. Or I'm really wanting to meet with a counselor frequently. I want to meet with them weekly. And that's something maybe I have already had and I want to continue that or feel like I need. So in times like that, or in forms of specialized counseling, our in the brief telephone assessment will work right away on the referral process. Sometimes it's helping to navigate insurance and how do I make this, again, this phone call to find a counselor, and kind of what that entails. So we're really there to, again, support students in whatever they're coming in with and whichever place they're coming from or whatever step they are at too. And helping them with that. So, and this slide, we also have a whole Getting Started tab on our website, which is a nice transition to our next slide. Here is our website. If you have accessible here right now to even just put this in to your bookmark or just open up a browser to say, hey, I'm gonna browse later, encourage you to do this because you will find that there really is so many resources on our website. And again, just knowing where some of these things are so that sometimes for us as in that caring and supporting role as a parent, a family member, or just being there for someone, if we feel better of knowing like, I know where these resources are, then we can feel more confident and kind of just grounded to be there when that need arises. So encourage, CAPS is here for you as well as parents and family members, and hope that both this session today was informative, and also that you'll find so many more resources when you explore our website. And then I know that we've had some question and answers coming in, but first we just wanted to thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Each one of you who is here today, I think you're showing up to support your student, and we appreciate that so much. And thank you. And we know that you will be there to help guide and support too. And we'll open it up for any additional questions and answers.
All right, so I can go into the Q&A here and see some of the questions. Let's see. I had seen one question. Okay, perfect. I received a note that we'd received a question about support for students on the autism spectrum. And so, of course, all of our regular services that we have, the individual counseling, psychiatry services are available for students on the autism spectrum. But I'm really happy to say that we offer a building social skills group. So I mentioned that I run a building social confidence group. That's for students with anxiety, who get anxiety in social situations, but we also have a building social skills group. And this building social skills group is based on the content from the UCLA Peers program. So I was trained, myself and another therapist were trained with the UCLA Peers program that is a program that teaches social skills for students on the autism spectrum. And then one of our providers, Dr. David Diaz, he actually attended UCLA and worked with that program. So he takes the lead in running that program. I ran it with him for the pilot that we did a couple of years ago. And then another one of our therapists, Wendy West, is going to be running that group with David coming up this fall quarter. And so definitely check out our website. Jay, I think, put in the chat there, link to our groups page, which has information about the Building Social Skills group. All right. And let's see. So taking a look at the different questions here, Erin, I can take the first one here. Since fall quarter hasn't started yet, should the student call CAPS for an initial appointment after school starts, or can they call now to make a future appointment? So if this is for a new student starting in the fall, I believe that they can call, Erin, tell me if this is your understanding too. I believe that they can call in September, in early September, and they can call to make an appointment for the fall quarter. So not quite yet, but coming up. Is that your understanding too, Erin, on the
That is
timeline?
also my understanding, and it's to schedule that brief telephone assessment. And usually the brief telephone assessment team has a kind of a date that is kind of lining up for the registration. That's actually before they're starting classes, but allows them to be able to begin scheduling new students. So so I would say, beginning of September, give a call and you'll get a concrete date as well. So.
Great. Erin, do you want to take the next question?
Sure, yeah, and I have a question here of, are there psychiatrists on staff as well? Yes, we have 2 fabulous psychiatrists who are on staff at CAPS. We also have some additional psychiatrists who are working in some of our other more specialized programs, our eating disorder program, and that we can get connected to other UC health systems programs. And so we encourage students, if they would like to meet with psychiatrists, that they would start the same process of starting with a brief telephone assessment. One piece with our psychiatry is that we do, to help the whole treatment model, students, if they are seeking psychiatry services, they do need to concurrently be in therapy services. If they're only wanting psychiatry services, then in the brief telephone assessment, the counselor that they speak with will help get them connected with referrals off campus. So that's the only kind of piece that we just like to highlight with our psychiatry, so that students understand that. And that's really, again, to kind of support them more in a full model that is there.
All right. We've got a question here. If a student is having a crisis, one that may require medical attention, will their parents be contacted? Erin, do you know the answer to that one?
So I'm thinking kind of my best answer is that we would be working with student health services on any medical attention, or of course if it's an emergency with paramedics or an emergency room, and then they are the ones who are deciding based on emergency contacts and kind of what is happening in the situation, whether a parent or family member would be contacted. That's my understanding of that.
Right. And any other questions that folks have, we can stay on for just another couple minutes here. We're happy to answer if anyone has any additional questions. All right. I also am seeing that there was another question that asked about how to schedule a first appointment. A student can go to My Student Chart to request an appointment, and then they'll receive a call back to actually schedule that appointment. So you can't schedule appointments through My Student Chart, but you can request an appointment through My Student Chart, and then someone will call them back. We also take appointments by walking in. So a student can always walk into the central office at CAPS, which is located in Galbraith Hall 190, or to call. So students, if they want to make an appointment, have their phone accessible so that they can actually answer the phone. Sometimes our front desk will have difficulty reaching students by phone. I think maybe they're not used to using their phone in that way. But so, if you have a student that wants to make an appointment, encourage them to call, or if they want to reach out through My Student Chart, just have their phone available so that they can pick up the phone when they get that phone call. All right. And Erin, do you want to take the next one?
Sure, yeah. Another question came in. Do counseling sessions need to be in person, or can they be through Zoom? So we offer choices and options for students. We really ask what would they prefer. Would they like an in-person appointment, or we don't use the Zoom platform, but we have our own platform through our electronic medical services that's HIPAA compliant, and so that is a virtual appointment. So students can choose, and they can also start with one. They could start with in-person, and they might move to virtual. Sometimes that is more convenient for them to have a telehealth appointment. One thing that sometimes comes up is sometimes our in-person appointments will be full, and the only one, the soonest ones are our virtual ones. So sometimes students might start virtually, and sometimes once they start, they feel again like this is really convenient, and I've built rapport and are happy with that. But they are always given that choice.
All right. I saw a question about the student services fees, but it disappeared. So I think that maybe somebody did get that. Let's see. Can your psychiatrist manage medication? Can students get their medication on site or through an individual pharmacy? So yes, the psychiatrists will meet with the students and provide ongoing medication management. They'll meet to assess the student and provide ongoing medication management. And that is for students who also are seen at CAPS for counseling. So if they're referred off campus for treatment, then they're also referred off campus for psychiatry. And they can get their medication filled through the pharmacy on campus, or else if if their medication is paid through their insurance, then they would get that prescription fulfilled wherever their insurance would fill their prescription.
And just adding on, I'm not a psychiatrist. However, I understand that there are some limits on medications that our psychiatrists can approve. So for example, certain types of stimulants may need to be provided by an off-campus psychiatrist, but our psychiatrists and also our VTA team are very familiar with this. And again, we'll help with resources around that.
Oh, I'm just seeing, they reached out and said that the student services fees question was not answered yet. Okay, so the student services fees are paid quarterly. And so when a student pays their student services fees, then they become eligible for CAPS services. Hopefully that answered that question. So they're paid at the beginning of each quarter. Okay. Let's see. Are we missing any questions here? I don't know. Erin, do you know if students can have medications mailed?
I am not sure. I actually haven't heard.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So, but things are always changing, so I'm not sure if there's more current or up-to-date information. But the nice thing is that we do have a pharmacy on campus.
Very convenient.
Yeah. So, and we're always, again, trying to help students. Sometimes even, I know some of our psychiatrists have looked at just cost saving, like what plans there are. So we're always putting our thinking caps on how we can make, if a student needs medication, how we can find that accessibility and get it to them. So.
All right. Any other questions that folks have? Oh, we got some more questions. Okay, how soon will the students get a call back once they booked an appointment? And so when they call for an appointment, to schedule an appointment, if they call during office hours, they're able to reach somebody that day to schedule that appointment. And that first telephone assessment is usually within 48 hours. And then that appointment with the therapist after the phone appointment is usually within 2 weeks of that first phone call. So it just kind of fluctuates during the school year. There are some times where there is hardly any wait at all for a first appointment. And then other times that time extends when we are busier. But the goal that we have is that for routine appointments, to get that first phone assessment within 48 hours of calling, and a first initial evaluation with a therapist within 2 weeks of that appointment. But again, to emphasize, if there ever is anything urgent or the student is in crisis, they can always get services that same day. It's just when they call, they need to identify that they are in crisis and would like to speak with someone. Who would they call to find out about the meds being mailed? Student health services, and you can ask to speak to someone in the pharmacy. Maybe even the front desk at student health services can ask about that. Let's see. Jay, are you able to find out the student health services phone number and add that as well? Jay's working hard behind the scenes to help us out. So if you hold on just for a moment there, Jay's going to get the phone number for student health services. And then also receiving a question here, can parents call to consult with CAPS counselors with any questions or concerns about students? Yes, so a parent would call CAPS and just identify yourself as a parent or family member, and that you have a concern about your student and you would like to speak with someone about your concern. Again, if they're being seen for counseling, we can't speak about details about your student. For example, we can't confirm or deny whether or not they're being seen for counseling. But if they sign a release, then we're able to speak freely about your student and treatment that they're in. But even if they don't sign a release, we can get information from you and we can provide general information back to you, such as different resources on campus. Oftentimes we'll help parents get connected to the dean of the college that that student is in, because the dean can help the student get in touch with a lot of other really helpful services. And if you have a concern about your student, we do not reach out to students. Students need to come to us. However, if you reach out to the college dean, they might be able to reach out to the student. They have a little bit more flexibility to do that. So if you have a concern about your student, I would say to consider not just calling CAPS, but also to call the college dean. And they can provide assistance. Erin, do you have any other thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I would say that is the kind of that best. You can always, call us, and our response may be what Tiffany just said is here's their dean, and encouraging to do that. And so,
let's see, Erin, do you want to take the next one?
Sure. The next question is, what are some cases where a student may be referred out? So sometimes if a student is wanting either longer term counseling, so wanting to find a therapist that they can see throughout the years as frequently as they would like. If a student is needing more specialized care, that might mean that they need to be seen weekly or need to be seen more than once a week, or for a very a specialty care, and that we'd want to get them to a specialist. That might be another reason that we would work on the referral process with a student. Sometimes we have students who have been in counseling before, and they know that that is something, or they have a specific thing that they're looking for, and so we'll work to say, how do we find that match? So often we talk to students about that match, and that feeling connected and heard and understood is so important. So if a student is looking, have an idea of a therapist that they're wanting to, we may help them to find that in the community.
Yeah, and I'll add that, I see some students where, they don't need regular support. I'm able to meet with them, every few weeks, and I see them maybe 2 or 3 times during a quarter, and I'm able to meet with them all year long because of that. So when students don't need that weekly treatment, don't need to come in regularly, but still want support, that kind of short-term support, I'm still able to meet with them during the entire academic year. So it just depends on what those needs are. Yeah. And we have about 5 minutes left, so we can still take maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
There was a question about, is the release form the authorization to release or exchange confidential information form, or is it a different form? I believe that is the release of information, that authorization to release.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be specifically, if it's related to counseling and psychological services, it has to be specifically to counseling and psychological services.
And then there is a question that's in Spanish. And so I don't think that we've got anyone, unfortunately, on this presentation that speaks Spanish. My husband speaks Spanish. I'll go grab him. Let's see.
I think maybe this question is asking, so all registered students are eligible for CAP services. So regardless of insurance.
Oh, thank you. I see that. Yes. I'm not sure about this question here. We have our own release form that students need to sign at CAPS. So they need to sign our release form in order to give permission to speak with parents. All right. Any other questions? Well, I just want to thank you all for being here with us and sharing this time with us. I know there can bring mixed feelings with your child coming to college, but we want to let you know that we are here to support your students, and so please do not hesitate to reach out to us, and please suggest the students Please remember us not only for the counseling services, but please remember those preventative services, those skill-based workshops, the support spaces, the free Headspace app, because those are services that are going to help your students, manage their stress, build resilience, increase their well-being so that they can be healthy and hopefully be able to not necessarily need to come in for counseling, because they're going to be learning some great skills and also being part of communities. And yes, we help students with OCD, with any mental health diagnosis. We can provide support. If the symptoms are severe enough that they need to be seen more regularly, then we will assess that and help them get connected. But just in this last year, one of my students on my caseload had OCD, and I was able to provide them support with that. So, yeah. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
Thank you all.